Well, here I am to talk to you about my TTC story. For me, it's so hard to even begin to know where to begin because I was actually born into this industry. Where I sit today was almost destiny. As part of the Tollman family CR legacy, I was literally born into the industry itself. But so I'm not going to talk to you about that. My TTC story I want to talk to you about is how I became to love Trafalgar the way that I do. My journey begins with Trafalgar as a young man leaving South Africa in my late teens. I arrive in London and my father says to me, "Gavin, you've got to find something to do." And my first job when arriving in England was to do transfers between London Heathrow and our guests arriving to their hotels. It was such a fascinating time. I had to learn so much about the history of London because we used to have these wonderful orange coaches with blue Trafalgar on the side. And every single morning I would arrive and greet our bleary-eyed guests at the hotel. I would then transfer them. But knowing the fact that before I could get them to the hotel, they were going to be waiting, I had to ensure we took a little bit of time. And I remember so well already then going and seeing along the journey all the different things to do, but number one was always going by Trafalgar Square and saying, this is where it all began. My journey then continued where I started working in London Reception Centre. Not only that, when I went to university, I started working within the call center. In the call center was one of my first jobs in New York City on a wonderful old system called Aurora. Over the same period that we had then during our peak sales period, we had a wonderful man by the name of Nigel Osborne running sales, and he got me to go and start doing sales calls as well as presentations over my spring breaks. All of this driving business for Trafalgar in my late teens and early 20s. I then went in multiple different directions into banking and things like that, but always knew one day I would return. And that turn began once again at the end of 1996, where our chairman Stanley Tollman and my late father Arnold Tollman asked me to come back and run Trafalgar USA. As I think many of you have heard, from 97 to 2001, the unbelievable Trafalgar USA team doubled the size of our business. It was some incredible growth years and some exciting, unbelievably innovative and creative thoughts of how we began the transformation already back then of escorted tours to something that became viable for the future. Over the next few years, working in various roles in TTC, the next important moment occurs in 2008. I'm sitting in a board meeting and Escorted Tours was not having its strongest years. And I turned to our chairman. I said, I have the answer for Trafalgar. And I'll never forget his face. He kind of lit up. He said, well, if you've got all the answers, why don't you go and do it? And so here we are, all those years later. My TTC journey has been an incredible one. But the one thing that is as powerful is the passion that I had for the brand in my early years in university, starting in those days going and taking calls in a call center, meeting our guests at the airport, going and greeting them at hotels, all the way to doing everything that I do today to ensure we are giving our guests the ultimate holiday wherever they choose to go without them having to worry about a single thing. The total ease of travel itself, not only that, but connecting them to very places they want to go and making sure they leave us filled with the power of travel itself. Well, that is my journey, and all I can tell you, it is just the beginning. We have so many more and exciting things to do together.